Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 227. If you tend to watch us on a regular basis, you might wonder why was there two shows within a week? Well, Shadowlands happening at a very, very sudden time meant that schedule has been, adjusted slightly, but that means that you get to see us twice this week. So
Yep.
more Shadowlands talk. Before I go on, let me introduce myself. I am Annie, or Annie Fuchsia, a full-time streamer on Twitch, and your weekly, or bi-weekly, Wowhead weekly host. As usual, I can not do this alone. I have my very, very lovely co-host, Perculia.
Hey everyone, I'm Perk. I run Wowhead, all the news, content guides, what we data mine in what order. And we've had a really awesome past few data mining builds. Thank you for all the support on our stream yesterday. That was awesome. And yeah, we're doing two shows because last show was a delayed show for the build that hit on Thursday. And, we got another build in the meantime, and we've got some really cool human customization options and even more armor sets, male armor sets that look good.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to be just highlighting all of those things, and yeah, we're having a lot of fun with our data mining streams.
Indeed, they have been super exciting and very interesting to watch, especially for us who have no idea how those kind of things work behind the scenes.
I always think it's fun when we show the wrong thing, like when we were showing the hair, like the straight hair, but with the curly texture, or
Oh, yeah,
when
yeah.
we have like the new mustache loading, but the body isn't loading, so it's a checkerboard, and we can just see the outline.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's always fun to see how it's a process. It's not just like you open up a box and there's this beautiful, model waiting to be displayed on the site. It's a real process.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So what you see on Wowhead is not just, directly mailed to them from Blizzard. They actually have to put
Yeah.
it together like a little puzzle. And if you want to see how it's done, then you can tune into the stream, which is pretty much, or maybe not exactly daily, but they're quite often at the moment.
Yeah.
So you can catch those.
Yep.
And yes, we do have some male armor sets to show off today as well.
Yeah. But I think we wanted to start with some new leveling and
Yes.
flying news that we got at, kind of the last minute in this week. We know everyone really likes the models, but a lot of, casual people are really curious what's happening with leveling because it's such a big change. So,
It is.
as we learned at BlizzCon, uh, when you first quest, you have a starting experience, Exile's Reach, and then you have to go through BFA. But then if you're a veteran player, you can choose your starting experience or what continent expansion you want to level in after. And that those options were not present in past builds, but they were added with yesterday's build. And it looks kind of incomplete because it's not exactly like super refined yet, but the UI is in place, so we just wanted to show you how it's coming along.
Mm-hmm. Looks very nice.
Yeah,
Looks
it's like
polished.
very graphical. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more text so people aren't just like, click, oh,
What's
what did I
this?
click on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And
what is
obviously,
Excel Reach? What is Shadow Glen?
choose your starting zone, Night Elf with, Northshire behind is wrong, but,
Good
it's
point.
just, yeah.
Actually, true. I didn't even notice that. I
Yeah.
actually assumed the two pictures were different. Oh, that's funny.
Um, And then the other thing is that you can choose your expansion um, from the Heroes Call board. And at BlizzCon, they're like, oh, you'll talk to Chromie and she'll give you options. And it feels kind of unintuitive that you have to find the board to, you know, like start leveling. So
Mm-hmm.
we think that's just temporary because like the system isn't fully in place. But, it is confirmation that, yeah, you know, veteran characters do not have to quest through BFA. So, it's
Mm-hmm.
coming along.
And
Um,
to remind us, what they told us that, or the way that they told us, or the way that it was presented was that we would probably talk to Chromie to go between the different
yeah,
expansions. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
And currently, it's an option that you see when you click on the those boards. And
right.
yeah, I think
Which no one remembers.
yeah.
They're like, oh, it's weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel very thematic. Like, oh, I clicked on a board and then I just time traveled.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
think
I
speaking to
mean,
an NPC does feel
yeah.
a bit better.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be like a nicer UI because I mean that's a big deal if you can only quest in one continent for your leveling. I'm sure they need to have some blurb being like, hey, if you go to, Outland, it's all about Illidan, and if you go to
Mm-hmm.
Wrath, it's all about Arthas,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Yeah.
biggest leveling news, which is also reflected a bit on the alpha, is that Draenor and Broken Isles Pathfinder are no longer required to fly in their corresponding continents in Shadowlands, meaning if you are questing in Warlords of Draenor, you don't need Draenor Pathfinder. If you're questing throughout Legion, you don't need Broken Isles Pathfinder
Mm-hmm.
to fly.
That is very interesting because there's always people who happen to, maybe not play in that time. Maybe had not played WoW at all in those times,
Yeah.
or maybe took a break for one reason or another, and then they come back and they intend to farm something there, and they're like, "Why can't I fly here?" And
Right.
it's a long process. So I guess just to clean up the whole leveling process, since that will be considered a very very low level area compared to the newer areas, it makes sense for it to be gone. I'm actually surprised that Draenor has still required it all this time.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be fair if someone could choose to quest through Mr. Pandaria and they could just, normally fly and things would be fine, but someone that was questing through Warlords would need to do this elaborate thing to, fly
Mm-hmm.
later because no one would want to quest through Legion or
Yeah,
Draenor
then no one would
for
pick
that
them.
reason.
Exactly. Very true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was interesting is that they didn't say that the BFA Pathfinder was going away. And I wonder if
Mm.
that's because with new players, you have to quest through BFA, and if they want the experience to, I don't know, like be on foot, like have it be more challenging. And so like,
Hmm.
that one you
Mm-hmm.
still have to grind for. The first time you do it, you don't have flight in BFA, but then for, as a veteran, you can then, quest and fly through the zones normally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
It's
that
a
I
good
just
question.
also the Pathfinder is not going away. So if you want the perks like the Sky Terror mount or the riding speed in Legion, you can still get them. It's just you just don't need to do it in order to get flying.
Gotcha. Good to know for anyone who plans to go there for leveling or any other purposes for that matter. Maybe
Yeah,
working
I
on
think it's
old
good.
archaeology.
Yeah, I mean, like there's so many reasons. I feel like a lot of people like maybe quit in Mist because there was that super long content gap and they're like, oh, I don't understand Warlords. Like, why am I time traveling to see orcs? But I already see orcs. Like, I feel like a lot of people didn't really play that. So, uh, you know, it's good that you can get that now so you feel incentivized to go back and see things there.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Indeed.
garrison, actually, for collectors, it has a lot of rewards. So if you didn't play during that time period, you might want to go back and get stuff like the mounts from there, like the orc
That
transmog
is true.
sets, like
Yeah.
rotate through all the buildings there, get all the rewards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, also in this build, Revendreth opened. I don't know if we've got a slideshow of anything, but Blizzard released this really cool blog kind of explaining Revendreth and had some nice new pictures of the raid. And it's this really gothic vampire theme zone. The vampires have really elaborate, fun ball gowns. I really like what they're wearing. I'm like, oh, can I have all these capes and
Yeah.
dresses and like gigantic rings on their fingers? And it looks really cool. And we discussed this on Monday, so I don't want to, put spoiler tags and go into it again.
Oh, you're
But
lagging.
oh no, Grandpa,
Oh
no, no,
no.
no, 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 no,
Don't touch
no,
the internet,
get
Brightpaw.
off.
Hmm.
Hopefully that was him.
It's still lagging.
Hmm.
You can hear me fine, yeah? Oh, I take that as a no. Um, let's see. I'm gonna try to reset the server with her to see if maybe US server is nicer to her. Actually, it is already US. Let's try US East. Oh, I can see you again.
It's not lagging for me now.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Seems like it's okay. Seems like you're back. So your camera was completely frozen and I could barely hear you.
Yeah.
Seems
He's
okay
sitting
now.
right, but you can't sit on the wires. You're overheating them. You need to move. Come on, little one. Brightpaw, get off the wires. Come on.
Overheating them.
Come on. Oh, I don't know if you're hearing him, but he's okay. Now he's biting my arm. Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
I
Brightpaw.
want to be here.
But yes, Revendreth. It's so amazing. It lagged up my computer.
Yeah.
Revendreth has, we don't want to go into spoilers again, but it's a very important zone that's sort of the climax of your questing experience.
Oh,
So
yes, we talked about that last show. If you
yeah,
want to hear
so we
about
don't want
that.
to go into like the plot twist and all that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's it's very important, and things are not what they seem at first, and you will learn about Torghast and do the setup for how you choose your covenant
Mm-hmm.
after you quest in Revendreth. But there's a
Yes.
lot of cool like vampires and like different groups of no, don't put your head against the mic, Brightpaw. There's different groups of vampires, and then it also leads directly into the castle Nathria raid, which
Oh,
is like
yeah.
this very fancy gothic castle.
Mm-hmm. And that's where we also got some armor sets to show off from today, right?
Yeah, we will show you armor sets very soon from there.
Very soon. Yeah, I think Revendreth has a really, really cool. Yeah, I guess sort of gothy is the right way to describe it, but has a really cool art style aesthetically.
Yeah, the sky is gorgeous. The castle up with like the blue and the red tones is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the castle Nathria sets, we also have some of the Venthyr Covenant armor we didn't show last time, and they're really fun as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be showing that very soon. So
Indeed.
actually, why don't we show that next? Looking at the notes.
Um, actually, true.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Actually, that seems like a very smart jump.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly show the castle as well,
Yeah.
since you mentioned it. Looks really
The
cool.
colors are so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And the art is
It's
like
nice,
soft. I don't know. I love it. The artists in
Yes.
general, this whole Shadowlands alpha, everything that we've seen looks aesthetically amazing.
Yeah, and it's so different as well. It's so different from Bastion, but it's
Yes.
equally amazing.
Yes.
So
They're like amazing in different ways.
yeah.
Okay, so which set should we show here?
Let's show the male Venthyr Covenant set with the
Let's
cool
start with
candles
that.
on the stone. Yeah.
So male Venthyr set here. And so we have different sets of this, and I think they're basically the same set but with different tints, which probably implies different difficulties in the raid.
So this is just what you get when you choose them as the Covenant. The tints could be
Oh.
from doing different things,
Gotcha.
but one of these tints is just for like being loyal to the Covenant.
Gotcha. The raid gear was
So.
the plate ones that we'll be showing soon.
Yeah.
Okay, I
This
mixed them up
this
for a
is
second.
just yeah. So this one tint should be fairly easy to get. We don't know if the other tints are for NPCs
Mhm.
or if you could like do something advanced and
Mhm.
get them. But yeah. Also the Covenant cloaks come in all the tints, so they look nice on them. And
Mhm.
all 4 tints are in our dressing room, so that implies that players could get them at some point because it's not just, special armor reserved for NPCs.
Mhm. So this is the second tint to show off to you guys. And here we have it. Here's the third tint. And the fourth one won't load. Well, that's great.
There we go.
Wait, actually, I think I may have it here. Yes, okay. Yes, the fourth one is here.
Yep.
There you go.
I think my favorite is the first or last one, the black with the red candle accents, or
Mhm.
the one that's more reddish with the gold accents. I think both of those are really fun.
I agree. I think I might be a fan of the golden one a little bit more, but I do agree
Yeah.
that the first and the fourth look the best.
Yeah.
And this is good news as well for male users because, as we've discussed in the past, male users tend to get the you know, the short straw in the group, but it seems like they have some good sets to look forward to. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice, especially how the Bastion Covenant set was also really good for male. So whatever aesthetics they're applying to these Covenant sets, keep them up because people really like the male sets just for the Covenants.
So that is nice.
Yeah.
Next up, we have some, I believe, also Covenant gear in that case for Night Fae.
Yeah, so like 2 weeks ago, we showed one tint for all Night Fae, and now we have all the tints, and they all load up in the dressing room. So, for example, we had a lot of blue tints initially, but now we've got some purple tints and white tints and green tints as well. And I think one of my favorite tints is the cloth set with the purple tint and the blue highlights. I think it looks very pretty, like some, Twilight butterfly.
Oh, yes, I see it
Kind of
now.
going with a nocturnal theme. I think I like that one.
So that was the cloth set. We're transitioning into the leather set for you guys to get to see that too. And to remind you guys, so the leather set has both a chest and pants version and a robe version. There you go.
Yep.
And it seems like it's similar tints, right? Across all armor types. Yeah. And then we also have the
I still like the dark one the best. Yep. Male set doesn't have helms yet. It's a little underwhelming in its current form.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe the helm will be like, I don't know, like a tree with branches sticking out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the helm will make up for it, but at the moment it does seem like they did get the short straw here. But we don't have the helm yet, so the helm might actually make a big difference to the overall look of it.
Yeah.
And then the plate set here as well. This dark one actually looks pretty cool, the sort of purpley dark one.
Yeah, with the blue tints. I like that one. I also like the white one.
Yes.
I think those are good positive, negative effect.
I do like the white one too. It's like iRobot.
Yeah. So yeah, all of these are in the dressing room. We have a lot of people asking us during Shadowlands, like, what's there? Like, why can't I see customizations yet? And not everything is ready enough on Blizzard's end, but these sets have items associated with them in our database, so you can, search for them and load them up and try this out on your own character even, which is cool.
Indeed. We have one more armor set to show.
Yep.
And this one is from the raid. From
Yeah,
Castle
this one is
Nafia raid. And it's specifically the plate set. Right here.
Yeah. It's so good.
And you can also see the different set colors. I mean, the different tints. So which color do you like here?
I like the first or the last again. The first being the red with the silver accents. It looks like very Holy Crusade, but vampire blood. And then the final one is all white, except it has the darker torso. And I really like how the chest of the plate set, it's just like a normal doublet with fur on it. Normally, when you think plate, you think they're like encased in, this heavy plate armor. But I think it's nice they're trying to play around with different textures. And then of course you have very
I didn't actually notice
elaborate
that before.
you have the rosettes on the shoulders and the belt, and kind of reminds me of like medieval jewelry with gigantic gemstones, like like a holy church relic, something like a bishop would wear, and it just kind of goes along with the whole like overzealous vampire corrupted power theme, and I think it's really cool.
Somebody in chat just pointed out the toe spikes, and I just looked at the feet, and yeah.
Oh wow! Oh my god, that
looks funny. It looks really good on the white version.
It's like new ability, just rogue kick will now stab your target if you wear these shoes.
Oh my god. Well, it's a shame some races won't have this visible then, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, some races don't get their spikes. I don't get any spikes.
No, that's true. Wait, do trolls wear feet? Like, can you see armor on feet? No, so for the trolls, you just see the two toes then.
Right.
So do you want two toes or two toes with spikes?
I want two toes with spikes. Sadly, the set is not in the dressing room, so you can't see what races have spikes and which don't. But
no,
we're still happy to bring you the preview so far of these.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some people might find it annoying if you're somebody who, you know, is of a different race. But I think showing armor on a human or night elf sometimes too usually makes it easier to see what's actually going on, because a lot of the other races have so much actual body pieces that is making up a lot of the shape. So I think for overall showing off of a new armor set, it's easier to see on a human or
Devon, I think, went over this much better than I could in the build, but sometimes we can't actually show them on other races if they're not in the dressing room. Sometimes like if they're incomplete, he can just piece them together on a human, but it would like take a long time to do them on another race.
Gotcha. So it's also a matter of simplicity.
Yeah, so if something's in the dressing room, then you can go into the dressing room and see it on any possible race. Which, if you know, all this armor will eventually be in the dressing room. So, you know, we're telling ourselves like, don't kill ourselves doing this, because, you know, suppose there's a build tomorrow that adds it, then we're like, oh, we just spent, you know, like our whole day doing this thing that was already there.
Gotcha. But, so even more reason than in that case. Yeah. I actually just assumed because it's the easiest to see it on humans, but I guess there's more technicalities too.
Yeah, I think it's also like, I mean, it's a really good option. Like, you don't want to show it on a race that has like a bone sticking out, because that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The presence of this set is also raises an interesting implication, because remember we had that other plate set everyone liked, and it was called Maw Raid.
Oh yeah.
And it also had like 6 tints. So. And Blizzard only announced the one raid, Castle Nathria. So is there going to be a second raid related to the Maw in some form? Because I don't think Maw raid is Torghast stuff, because why would it have 6 tints? And Blizzard said in the Torghast interview that they're not going to tie gear with item level to Torghast, so it wouldn't make sense to have, you know, like mythic plate set from Torghast. So I think the Maw is going to be the second main raid in Shadowlands if we're going to go by the data mining and, you know, the names and the aesthetics of the set. Like, the Maw plate set did not look very vampire. It looked very Lich King with the helm with the spikes on it.
So,
you know, this set is more
do you
like
think...
fur.
Do you think we're still talking about, you know, the first patch-ish? Or do you think we're talking about, you know, later on? Or the first tier, I mean?
I feel like this could, like, the Maw could be a Nighthold type deal.
Okay.
So, like, that was, like, 715, I think. So, yeah, like, kind of like the main raid for the, like, a bigger raid. Like, I don't think, so, like, Castle Nathria is, like, Emerald Nightmare and, Uldir, and then you got Nighthold, the Maw, Battle of Dazar'alor type of thing.
Gotcha.
And those, like, all those midpoint raids kind of ended a narrative arc as well. You know, it's like Nighthold, Gul'dan dies, you know, Dazar'alor, we invaded the city, and I feel that with the Maw, we would, you know, if Nathanos is maybe there, or there's something big has to happen in the Maw, I feel like that would be like a kind of midway point for the expansion, whenever we do something big there.
These are not spoilers. Whoa, spoilers. Maybe you're just joking, making fun. This is just speculations. And
all we know is that there's a set called Maw Raid. And, you know, there's a zone called the Maw. So we're just, you know, speculating what
kind of raids could happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I guess we will see once we get some more data on that, which raids we could be expecting and in what order as well.
Yep. So this was the really hype part of yesterday's build. It was the customization options. We've got human hair. Lots of things for human male and females. And first up, we're going to show you some new human female hairstyles that reflect different ethnicities, cultures from around the world. And yeah, let's put the slideshow up.
Let's start with human female hair. And
Yeah.
my favorite is on the slideshow right now. This looks so cool.
Yeah.
With the two buns and like the open hair behind it. But yeah, there's quite a few different hairstyles that have been added, and
Finally, some curly hair options.
more curly hair options. We have this, which looks a bit more like dreads, and
Yeah.
curls again.
We even have a
And
tracer hairstyle with like a little flip over.
we got cornrows,
I think
and
it's really great they're adding all these.
yeah, like more
They
variety of
did
things.
say that the humans would probably have more customization than the other races just because they really want the humans to represent, like, like the actual world. And, it's more variations than obviously, a night elf or a void elf.
Yeah, I mean,
So
makes
I wouldn't
sense.
expect all these options to be on every other race in
No.
WoW, but it's cool to see these being added for humans. Right? Oh no.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I don't think too many people would be upset if you can't have cornrows as a Tauren or dreads
Right.
as a.
Speaking of which, no Tauren options have been added yet, so that's really
Oh,
like
okay, that's interesting.
yeah.
Cornrows on a
Yeah.
gnome? Yeah, I mean, I guess on a gnome it wouldn't be too bad, since gnomes are kind of human still. um, realistically thinking, IRL thinking. But yeah, it's nice to see a lot more variety, so people can feel like if they do play a human in this game, they can make it look like themselves. So that's always
Yeah.
nice, and
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to add more options that way. And also, yes, the eyes, let me show the eyes again. They do look very, very strange. And this is because this poor woman had very little time in the bathroom. And when she was putting on her eyelashes, she put them on a bit wrong. Yes, please be.
Yeah, that's not final. It just the first build added some makeup and it looked really garish, and I feel like Blizzard is still trying to make the makeup on human eyes look right. So
Yeah.
yeah. This next option I'm really hype about because if you remember our April Fool's joke, we were talking about cosmetic. We were like, oh, we've data mined this cosmetic necklace. Could this mean that, races can finally get amulets they can customize? And now humans have necklaces.
Yep. Confirmed necklaces. Which is
Yep.
very interesting to happen after BFA when we have a very special necklace that we've been wearing. But it's okay,
Yep.
I'm sure we'll have some other interesting necklaces to look forward to. Because, I mean, if you think about it, necklaces would have been perfect this expansion.
I mean, I feel there's also that model that was never used of something that looked like a Heart of Azeroth neck or cloak. That people were speculating. It was like an encrypted icon, and all the other items added then turned into like shop items. So people were thinking that this was going to be some interesting cosmetic, and it never, came to life. And I'm
No.
also really curious about these necklaces because some of them look fashionable, but some of them kind of look really similar to the like Sylvanas and Ilaria of Arisa three necklaces. Even like the three colors just seem very similar, and it makes me think like, oh, like would blood elves get necklaces or other races get jewelry? I mean, we saw the blood elves with the like body chains last show. So I hope other races get jewelry. I think you could have a lot of fun doing jewelry themed to each particular race.
Yeah, I feel like this expansion has put a lot of emphasis on necks in general. Obviously, we have the Azerite neck, but we also had a lot of focus or a lot of mention of Jaina's neck, also Sarfang, and
Yep.
it feels like it's been a big neck expansion, and maybe that is why they actually pushed this forward to make it a thing in the game, because if this had already been a thing, I'm sure we would have probably been
Oh,
able to
definitely.
find necks that represented those special ones. Maybe we would have had an Azerite neck that's actually visible, but it's still
Like
cool to
Lady
see.
Ashvane, she had one.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So it's nice to see a bit more customization options, which also involves neck, because that's always been one of the boring slots on on gear because it's not visible.
Yeah.
I think there's
Another
like that
thing,
one because it's similar with neck and ring, right? Rings aren't really visible
Mhm.
either, but then there's that one
No,
ring that
black ice, yeah.
yes, that's
And
the
then
one.
some of like the cubic zirconia, there's some diamond ones as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
That kind of glitter, which was also making me excited because if you look at the vampire models, they have really big skull rings on their fingers. So I'm like, oh,
Mm.
like that would be cool if we
Oh.
got rings.
Yeah, imagine if we could actually see rings on us. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's like mythic ring, it sparkles more.
Yeah, true. That would be cool. But yeah, that's
Uh,
exciting. Having more, just more cool customization options that do not exist at the moment.
yeah, and it's not just the necklaces. You can also customize your earrings, and all the earrings match the necklaces, but you can mix and match. You don't have to go with the same earring and necklace combo. And all the old options are remaining, so you can have, like a nose piercing or, double piercings on your ears, but they also have these new fashion options as well.
Here's some piercings as well. And it's nicely shown off on this. I believe this is one of the new hairstyles, right? This short
Yeah,
hair.
this is the tracer hairstyle, as
Mm-hmm.
we're calling it.
The tracer hairstyle, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some of the piercing options right there. So yeah, we had the new hairstyles, necklaces, piercings, and I think that was it
Yep.
for the
Yeah.
human female. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And now, this I think was the best part of the data mining stream yesterday, the human male hairstyles and facial hair, including The Witcher. So,
Yes. Wait, let's
yep.
get this showing.
Some of them were not very good. They were like 90s, like boy band, kind of emo looking, but some of the other ones were pretty cool.
Let me put focus on the Witcher one since right now it's
Yep.
just a slideshow of all of them. So
Yeah, and you guys should definitely check out Stefan's Twitter because he's been having a lot of fun posing his
there
model
we
in
go.
like a moonwell or on a horse. So, yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so
So,
there's different options here too, and also some hairstyles that remind us of the female ones as well. More curly hair options, which could be
yeah, the
better.
dreadlocks. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. The dreadlocks, the cornrows. Um, yeah, they're all there.
yeah. Those are cool. Some of the haircuts that are like kind of the straight ones that are a little floppy. I'm like, oh, like this feels like 90s boy bands
Yeah.
that you try to forget. But hey, maybe that's back in style.
What do you
Uh,
mean trying to forget? It was great.
yeah.
But yeah, and then here are the different beard options or facial hair options.
Yeah.
Some new ones
People were
added.
also excited about these. These remind me of the Kultiran facial hair options, so maybe they were inspired by that, like some
Mm-hmm.
of the mustache ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's some exciting for you guys who like to fix up your human male character.
Can't show these in the dressing room quite yet, but we're trying to prep as much as we can, so
Mm-hmm.
when it is available, our tool will not massively break, and we'll be able to have it up for you as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm. Next
So,
up for new customization is a bit more of a speculation.
yeah.
So we have some
So,
interesting photos here, and yeah, you can go ahead and introduce it.
yeah, so we've talked a little bit about how there's some hype surrounding uh, races tied to each covenant, and maybe they could be allied races. Because, like, oh, everyone looks cool. What if we could play them? And a bit of data shows that the Ardenweald fawns can wear they use the Draenei collection model, meaning that they look like Draenei when they put armor on. So they could wear playable character armor,
Mm-hmm.
which is making people more hyped because they're like, oh, like didn't the Volpera have something similar? And they're already set up to be dressed like us. Maybe they could be playable. It seems very easy.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some pictures of them wearing a few of the Covenant armor sets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
And yeah,
it is
they
very
look good.
convenient. It is very convenient if
Yeah.
you add a race which can just automatically wear old gear. Because
Yeah.
then it makes things, a lot smoother of a transition.
Yeah. It's funny, I dug up this blue post that was later deleted because it was on the BFA Alpha forums, and it was when people were speculating about the Volpera, and it was, we found that setting up certain races as though they were player characters can be highly advantageous for NPC customization in story content. While some races become allied races, we still intend to use this approach for non-playable races.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take a race being data mined this way as an indication that it will become playable in the future. However, this was about Volpera that ended up being playable. Uh, but
Yeah.
it's and I just want to highlight. Also want to bring up that while the
This is what
fawns
we're
are set
talking
up
about.
like this,
I just put it
the
up. Mm-hmm.
equivalent. Oh yeah, cool. The equivalent races like the vampires can't wear armor well, or the Maldraxxus floaty necrolord things. Like this race is more complete. That it looks better in armor than the equivalent speculative allied races.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just think it looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless if they're an allied race or not, I just think they look neat.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so this piece of text was about Lightforged Draenei and Void Elves?
This was this was about when the Volpera came out, and Blizzard was talking about like the development context
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
of the Lightforged and Void Elves, which were the non-playable race in 7.3, and then
Mm-hmm.
they were playable in 8.0, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we like to use this tech for other not playable races
Mm-hmm.
that come up, like the Volpera. And there's like a little more finesse than what I'm saying. Like the Vaughns aren't set up exactly like the Volpera, but I think the idea is that the race can take on certain characteristics of a character,
Yeah.
but that's not a sign that you can suddenly play that character. Like remember, everyone wanted the Sethrak, and you know you
Yeah.
can't play. I mean, Sethrak is not a playable race, so.
Mm-hmm.
um,
So
but yeah, hopefully
TLDR,
we'll see more of these guys.
yes, TLDR, the fonts have perfect setup for armor that Draenei could wear, meaning if you'd want to wear old armor, you can simply use the same sets, which means less work for Blizzard and would make a very convenient transition.
Yeah, like remember in BFA they were talking about how all allied races were kind of based on an existing race, but
All
then
except Kultiran, right?
right, and they're saying that it was so difficult to get Kultiran, and then they, delayed adding Zandalar because they wanted to have Kultiran go along with it, and it just took a lot longer to set up.
Yep.
So you can see how if the Fawns are based on Draenei, it would make any sort of development easier versus doing something from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
If they ever wanted to maybe, I don't know, make it playable
Mm-hmm.
in like 2 years or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's also a good point. Just because they're considering to make this playable, if they would be, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be in the first patch of the expansion. It could be 3-4 patches later, or just never. Who knows?
Right.
But it's still interesting to speculate.
Come on, Bridgehoff. No. He's eating a wire again. No.
No.
But to round out our models, we have some interesting creatures and weapons we want to share. The first creature model is Draka, the mother of Thrall, and they announced at BlizzCon that she was going to be in the zone of Maldraxxus. And last build, we also data mined that Lady Vosh and Alexandra Smograin are likely in that zone as well, because they are also wearing Maldraxxus armor. Now, we saw Draka in Warlords, but that was the AU version where, in the main timeline, she died, soon after she gave birth to Thrall. She was ambushed. But then in the alternate timeline, Thrall actually got to meet up with her, and she was, very powerful in Frostfire Ridge. So now it seems we're going to meet her in the afterlife, and it'll be interesting to see if how Thrall, you know, interacts with her,
Yeah.
because I believe in Warlords he kept his identity secret from the AU version of his parents. So, you know, we'll see what goes on here. She looks like a badass.
She does. Wait,
yeah.
let me get the picture up again. There it is. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting
Lots
to
of
see how
spikes.
they interact. Yeah, big
Yeah.
spikes, especially one of the shoulders.
Yeah. This is also the male Maldraxxus Covenant set. So if you're a player, you can get this set too.
Oh, you can look like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We also wanted to highlight some cool weapons. The first was a staff from Maldraxxus that looks really like Kel'Thuzad's staff, who's also going to show up at some point in Shadowlands based on the data mining.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks so cool.
It does look really cool, and we have multiple tints as well for it.
Yeah, I think there's even more, but yeah, we just wanted to show a few to give you the idea. It looks really detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Pawn, no.
The next weapon is a very, very pretty wand.
Yeah, it's an Ardenweald wand. And it's nice how detailed the wand model is, because usually wands are like...
I know, they're usually so boring.
Yeah, these aren't boring. They're really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
There's usually nothing to transmog into when you're using wands, so...
Right.
Or nothing interesting to transmog into.
Right.
So hopefully we can have some more options now.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did we have here? I think that might be it for the new models, right?
Yeah, that's about it for models. So we can, like, you know, go over subs, see if people have any questions, and then just highlight some general alpha stuff that also went on.
Lincoln gifted a sub to Mongbat. So Mongbat is now also subscribed to the channel. So thank you very much, Lincoln.
Thank you.
And enjoy all the emotes, Mongbat. Mongbat is actually one of mine or my very first mod. One of my first mods.
Nice.
So he's been a supporter for a very long time. He's awesome.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you for that gifted sub.
Yeah.
And now we can jump into some general alpha stuff. Just more news, not in any particular category of anything, but just some small interesting things that we wanted to mention to you guys.
Yeah. So you may have noticed in past expansions that NPCs in very specific occurrences, like your garrison followers, will like turn and acknowledge you. And now this is the case for all NPCs in Shadowlands, as well as ones from previous expansions. So obviously, if you're gonna go up to like a slug or a tree, it's not gonna turn. But for, you know,
wait, trees aren't gonna turn to me? Excuse me?
Maybe a treant would. If they have a head with a turn animation, now they will turn to look at you when you get close.
I have some gifts here of examples so you guys can see how it looks like. There we go.
So, like we said, it's not totally a new feature, but it's, you know, pretty greatly expanded from when we saw this last. And also in Legion, you may remember, when you target something, your character turns to look at the target.
Yes.
So now it's like the reverse, where they are looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone is super nosy and wants to know what you're up to.
Yep. It's like you walk past and they look at you. I wonder what happens if you're a rogue that's stealthed. Do they still see you?
Maybe if you get into like the range where the eyeball will be triggered in stealth, they turn and look at you. But yeah, that'd be fun to test out. That'd be creepy if they turn. It's like, no, I'm in stealth. Go away.
You're
Do not
supposed
turn.
to see me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
This next one is actually a little controversial. We data mined some new descriptions for the Horde races when you first, you know, log in, and it explains the race to you like the little blurb. A lot of these have been changed to be more like heroic sounding, like not as dark in nature, and people are on the fence because they're like, oh, you're changing the personality of my race. Before I was sort of this like morally gray, and now I sound heroic. For example, the Forsaken used to be, you bear the curse of the Forsaken, return from the grave. It is your choice what you do with the second chance at life. Like that sounds pretty like everything okay?
Yeah. I just accidentally had a Windows sound, but we're good. Nothing broke. Everything is fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if I lagged.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
so
it
like
was my end. Don't worry.
yeah. So that sounds pretty like, yeah, things suck for you, and you can choose to live or not. But then the new version is now, as one of the undead Forsaken, you have been reanimated by dark magic. Though shunned by the living, you tirelessly strive to protect them. Like, that just sounds more like positive, while the other one is like, hey, you can choose to stay dead or come back to life. But now this is like, oh, you were resurrected and now you choose to protect everyone. And it just sounds different.
Yeah.
And it's like deliberately saying that like you're trying to do the right thing, as opposed to like, oh, you sided with Sylvanas, and like that was kind of bad, like, led to issues. So a lot of people feel like maybe the personality was taken out, or
and also
there was
removing
more...
the curse part as well.
Yeah.
Because feeling cursed is quite I don't know, it's a powerful thing to describe something as, and the curse part is gone.
Right. And it was always like, the Forsaken were just trying to like survive in this weird situation they were in, and now it's like, oh, they've got this other purpose. They're trying to help everyone else that's alive.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Like, we're here to help others. Like,
yeah,
we're not living for ourselves.
Right. That sounds a bit like very selfless, which I mean, I suppose that was gonna be like a paladin, but not like, oh, here's like the whole race of the Forsaken. But yeah, let's read another one. Let's see. Another one is, you left the comforts of Silvermoon City to find power and greatness within Azeroth, like many blood elves before you. And now it's, your people, the blood elves, have persevered through tragedy and betrayal. You toil to ensure Azeroth never endures such suffering again. And the first one is, like blood elves, maybe like addicted to magic. They're very power hungry. But now it's the same thing. It's like, oh, you had a tragic past, and now you're trying to save Azeroth.
Yeah, it's like this thing of, let's turn things around, and now you will save the world.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh,
I didn't show this one before when you were reading it. There we go.
Cool. You are a part of the powerful Horde, a united group of disparate races seeking to carve their own path within Azeroth. That was the old one, and now it's, you are a soldier of the mighty Horde, a diverse band of races from across Azeroth who fight for freedom and honor. It just feels like they're going a little too over the top, because it's like, no, we just fought the fourth war where we were trying to like just kill the other faction to survive. Like it just seems a little overly heroic after BFA was all about, like different shades of gray, and how some questionable decisions can seem good in some circumstances, and more negative in others. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is they're definitely trying to take an angle with this. It just feels a little too going too far. Your orcish your orcish blood thrives for adventure, and you seek to prove your strength and honor. Versus, though the orcs came to Azeroth as conquerors, your kind has shed the bloodthirsty ways of old and now stand in defense of your new home. So it's like it's trying to distance the orcs from their past of, bloodlust, while the older words are like, oh, like you thrive for adventure, but the new one is like, oh, you don't have that hunger in you, like you're past that. We're not going to associate.
Yeah, like as if you've kind of changed. You're no
Yeah,
longer thirsty for adventure.
right,
You're now new. You're a new version of
right,
yourself.
right. So, I mean, maybe in some sense, it's like, oh, maybe the next generation is not tied to the mistakes of their predecessors, but, there are some personality traits that were associated with each storyline that feel like maybe they've been forgotten. I know it's a toss, but it's like, the Forsaken thinking that they had a curse under Arthas, and now they're just trying to, like, survive as a bunch of misfits, or, the Blood Elves kind of being very smug and power hungry. It feels a little weird to suddenly be like, oh, like, thank you, Blood Elves, for, defending Azeroth when their whole personality is, like, very, like, arrogant and refined and, sort of going to extremes to, have magic and knowledge, unwell
Mm-hmm.
addiction.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. They didn't change any of the Alliance ones yet. Maybe they'll do so in a future build. I feel like they kind of have to because it's weird for the Night Elves to be like, oh, now the Night Elves live in Teldrassil, or, the Night Elves are peaceful. It's like, no, they're
Oh,
not. They're kind of upset.
yeah.
um,
Yeah, I guess it's probably coming, actually. At first, I was going to say maybe they're not planning to change them because they're. I think those races weren't described as vulgarly, but at the
right.
same time, the Night Elf one, if it does specify Teldrassil, then it would kind of have to be updated.
That's actually so I highlighted this in like a mega post I did, but I feel like because there's a lot of discussion, I might just pull these quotes and put them in a separate post after the show, just because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, that was a pretty big change.
Mm-hmm. It is actually.
Um, then for our final point today, we have the world map,
Yes.
uh, which is looks a little different than usual. Um, There are like little floating zones in the Shadowlands, and normally the world map is like boom, a continent.
Yep.
But this looks really similar to what was shown at BlizzCon. And we know that they were, different zones. You don't just sort of, float from travel from one to the other. They're separate like mini worlds.
Brightpaw here. He's like, "Are you gonna talk about cat soon?"
Yeah. Come on, baby. Come on. No, come back, Brightpaw. But yeah, so like they're very spread out. I feel like this isn't the most visually appealing world map. Maybe they'll add more stuff to it or even graphics sort of connecting everything.
Yeah, it feels
Uh
a little bit too spacious between
yeah, it's
them.
like lacking a central focal point.
Mm-hmm. So
Um
it may still be updated.
yeah. But it's good to know that it's coming along. They always tend to update these a few times during the alpha anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's about it for what we want to highlight on the show. But just to recap other things that came in the build that we're still looking at, there was there was the encounter journal as usual. There were class changes and the first iteration of PvP talents, including a nice cooldown nerf to Greater Pyroblast. You can't just
Oh
spam
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pyroblast.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Demon Hunters get some sort of Mortal Strike ability that is making people sad because they're getting everything.
Yep.
Um, there was also some new Covenant abilities, including one of the Demon Hunter ones we didn't know about before. And we are updating all of our guides. So if you're going to a Covenant guide, we're going to update that with all the armor. If you're going to a class changes page, we're updating that as well. And
I actually wanted
yeah.
to show the map of the new arena because it looks amazing.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
I don't know if you have a link
Hmm.
straight up. Let's see if I can find it.
It might be from an old build. I'm not. I see Halls of Atonement.
I saw a tweet by somebody.
Huh.
Halls of maybe that's what it's called.
Oh, that's the dungeon.
Oh,
But
okay.
the dungeon is cool. It's kind of got like the red tints on it.
Mm-hmm.
I put a link in the notes if that's it.
Let's see. I have so many windows open. It's like hard to keep track. Here. Let's see. Mm-mm. Sorry, it's not a map. It's an image of the new arena. And I think it
Hmm.
looks really good if I could just find it. Um, mm, mm, mm. I'm not sure where it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure when they open up for arena testing, we'll take lots of, pictures of it, then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
Um,
think this might be the one. Let's see. Yes, okay, I found the image. It's from a tweet. Let's see. Let me take a picture of this so I can show it. From Chris Kaleki.
oh yeah, he's one of the, Blizzard, devs.
Okay,
Let me. I don't think I actually saw the image.
I'll show.
Yeah.
Here it is. Put it up here. Mm-mm-mm. And I'll also just link you the tweet straight so you can see it. But here we go, so people in the stream can see it. And I will link it to you here.
Oh, that looks really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very Diablo. Like the heaven area, that yeah, with
Mm-hmm.
the angels with the wings.
Mm-hmm.
That looks super neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looks really nice and visually appealing. It'd be fun watching Twitch streams of people fighting in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I like the Bastion aesthetic. We were saying at the start of the show how all the zones are so different and like they're just really good at honing in on like the most extra parts of that aesthetic and just, ramping that up. So like you've got like a floating island that's gold and angels with wings that are bigger than their bodies. I just love this all. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. It does look really pretty.
Yeah.
It was actually somebody in
Uh,
the chat who reminded me whose Twitter it was. So thank you to you.
yeah, thanks guys.
Guild Chatter was the one who pointed it out. So that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the picture that I had seen, and it looked really cool. There was a video too. I don't know who the video was by, but I don't have it here right now. But at least we could
Yeah.
show the image so you can see how it looks like. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um
And I
yeah.
believe that
So
is it.
yeah, we will be posting some more Revendreth articles on Wowhead later today, like zone pictures as well as a quest playthrough, although the zone keeps crashing on us, but we're trying our best. Also, the new dungeon opened, Halls of Atonement, and I think Kitsuki is taking pictures of that too. And yeah, it was a smaller build than obviously the first one, but that's to be expected. No new Torghast classes opened. But we did do a fun post on Monday showing some of like the wild one-shot builds if you wanted to see the fun things that can be done in that piece of content.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's about it unless you guys have any questions.
I believe that is it indeed. And I've been trying to keep track of chat as well.
No
I don't
problem.
think we've missed anything. If we
That's
did,
good.
feel free to let us know. But
Right.
I think we're good. Everything is
Yeah.
wrapped up nicely. We went through all the different updates and everything.
Yep. We have a
So,
cat
and
eating my microphone.
Brightpaw knows. He's like, oh, you're gonna give me all the attention soon. I can smell it.
I don't think we've actually found any cat models in this expansion yet, which is strange.
We need some new, very, very cute cats. Big eyes.
Yeah. I mean, cats are, part of ancient Egyptian culture. I'm sure there'd be, I don't know, some cat mythology with the afterlife. We need some cats. So,
Okay, apparently Novel did have a question that I missed.
okay.
I'm having to scroll up a lot. What do you mean ignore this is Annie's stream now? Too familiar. I do not ignore. Let's see. There was a question to you, Perk. What do you think of Spectral Pepe?
Uh, like the little squirrel Pepe that Noble was showing. Uh, I prefer the bird to, the squirrel, but Spectral Pepe is cute, and there was the spectral Pepe first showed up in Drustvar actually, in the graveyard that had like the really ominous whispers. So I'm a big fan of Pepe coming with us to the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. I don't want Pepe to die, of course, but
No.
I would like Pepe to travel with us and survive the
Yeah.
Maw and be a little burb Maw
And
walker
come out
as well.
together.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Pepe is traveling with us and survives, even though, Jaina and all these people might be chained up by the jailer.
Mm-hmm.
Pepe escapes the jailer. I'm a fan of that.
So what do you mean with Pepe's a squirrel? Does he change form?
Well, I think let me check the image again. I think Novel showed me an image earlier. It's like this is what Pepe. Let me link you the tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Visual aid for people.
Squirrel Pepe? That's just nuts. I see what you did there. I see it.
Let's see. I am.
If you use transdimensional bird whistle, Pepe spawns as a blue squirrel on your head. Okay.
I don't know why it's a black background, but if you the link is in there if you want to bring that up.
Oh.
So.
I see it. Okay, let me quickly show this on stream too.
Yes. Obviously, I would prefer if Pepe were Pepe, but if I don't know, maybe Pepe has to disguise himself as a squirrel to get through the Maw. But of course, I want Pepe in his bird fluffy form.
I think it's definitely a tactical reason behind it.
Yeah.
Pepe is very tactical.
Yes. I mean, he went from Warlords, he time traveled with us from Warlords back to the main timeline, and only we did that, and like famous people and Gul'dan. So, Pepe knows what's up.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe he can teach us things to get out of the Maw together.
Yeah, just put on a disguise, change your transmog, and you can get out of the Look very unassuming like a critter.
Just place yourself on top of others that will get out of the Maw. Just sit on their head.
I really wish Pepe can meet the Kyrians. I think that would be really cute. The owl people.
Oh, we need
Pepe.
We need a Pepe for each covenant.
Yes, covenant Pepes.
I believe there was
what they did
one
for
more
Allied
question.
Races.
Oh,
that was good.
There's one, not really question, a statement. At Wowhead, tell Stevan we love his streams.
Oh, I will pass that on. We love Stevan too.
I hope Stevan heard that.
He is constantly looking for ways to make the tool do more stuff in an entertaining way, so you guys have fun things to watch during all of the streams.
Are the encounters...
I don't know if you...
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know if you saw, but he found a way that models can sit on other models.
I did see that.
So, yeah. So,
like the one Asmongold tweeted too.
Yeah, when Stefan had an AFK, he put that up. And, yeah.
Apparently that was Asmongold's favorite moment in Shadowlands.
Yep. It's looking good. But yeah, we're trying to just, do fun things, like putting models next to each other, showing size comparison, having them sit on things so you can see what they look like in different poses. To, just like keep showing the art off better and better.
We have a question from Hack Attack 11. Are the encounters in the journal the order that they go on live?
That's the order if you log into the alpha. That's the order in which you would encounter them, but they do like move things around. I think, for example, the Castle Nathria bosses had a different order last week than they do now.
Oh,
but
so it keeps being updated.
Yeah, but like the dungeons that you can run, those aren't being changed, and the final boss is like
the final boss.
Yeah. I think right now the final boss of Castle Nathria is one of the main antagonists of Revendreth, which makes a lot of sense. And in an earlier build, he was the first boss, so it makes more sense that now he's like the final boss of that whole.
There's a question from Kane OG. My question is if Blizzard is going to give Night Elves more customization options. I would say probably, right?
Yeah.
We have seen a bunch already. We didn't show any today, but we did last show.
Yeah, and I think there were a few that were like, I think there was some marking colors or something related to markings that we didn't show because they were kind of buggy, but it was implying that a few more things could be shown in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And males got like arm tattoos and body tattoos,
Mm-hmm.
and there were different skin colors, some hairstyles. So yeah, night elves are getting some stuff.
Mm-hmm. And on a similar note, we have Centauri is Beta, who's asking anything on Taurens yet. I need them cow
No,
skins.
no,
Nothing
we
yet.
look. That's one of the things we look for, and yeah, nothing on them yet.
But we can be almost certain, right, that they will get
Right.
updates too.
I feel like it's a little tough for them because, I mean, they made the high mountain Tauren race that is basically just like Taurens with antlers and certain types
Mm-hmm.
of war paint. And I feel like if the high mountain Taurens didn't exist, then Taurens could just like have absorbed a lot of those war paint options, as part of the
Mm-hmm.
race. So maybe it takes more time to come up with, I don't know, options for the Tauren. Like you can't give a Tauren pink hair like you can undead.
Why not? No kidding. Well,
I guess you could.
if you would see any customization on Torn, which is actually this next question by Tommy OV, what would be your speculation? What kind of new customization would you expect on Torn?
I mean, I think different horns would be interesting. Also, different tattoos representing the other Tauren races that aren't High Mountain, like the other Tauren clans,
Mm-hmm.
could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some more jewelry options, their braids and hair.
Yes, yes,
Especially
yes.
because they're
More
close to
accessories
nature,
in here
so
too.
like leaves,
Mm-hmm.
flowers, that sort of thing to show their connection to nature.
Mm-hmm. And since we did see piercing and necklaces and everything on humans, maybe we can see more sort of nature-y accessories on Tauren as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I could maybe some options like like Bane has sort of found himself as a leader, maybe some options related to I don't know if Bane has any like
Mm-hmm.
distinctive markings or keep showing that you were like always loyal to him even through his ups and downs and imprisonment.
Mm-hmm.
That could be something.
Mm-hmm. I see one more question here.
Oh,
Uh,
I've got a lot today. That's
from
cool.
Urgi Zanos. Anything to indicate more Demon Hunter races?
No, they just kind of seem to be a Legion thing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like the focus is kind of shifting away from Demon Hunters for now. There's a little bit more focus, not focus, but a little bit more emphasis, I guess, on the Death Knight since we are going back to Ice Crown, sort of, with Shadowlands.
Yeah.
And the allied races being very relevant there. But apart from that, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything new on Demon Hunters, except now they have Mortal Strike. Yeah. That's
They're
what's
taking
going
all
on.
the good abilities from all the other classes. First they did Warlock, and now they do Warrior.
Yep. 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 Mm-hmm. Soon they'll have a Holy Shock too to heal themselves in
Yep.
case it's needed. In case the leech
Holy
isn't enough.
Demon Hunter.
Yes.
It's like, what if Illidan had followed the light in 7.3? New
True.
light demon hunter spec.
Mm-hmm.
All the golden tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Is Sylvanas going to get a new transmog set? I saw it in a video, but I don't know if it's true. So Sylvanas did get an updated model. Yes, it is true. If it's the one that you saw, it's basically a more sort of grayscale set.
Yeah, she
to
has more
suit-
spikes as well.
More spikes too, yes. So if that's what you saw, yes, it's real. Do we know if there is Pathfinder requirement in Shadowlands? We don't know, but probably something to expect. What do you think?
Yeah, probably something where you have to like do the 4 zones on foot, and then the requirements from Pathfinder will probably tie into, having to do all quests. Like, it's always like, oh, do Lore Master for the continent. That's a step. So I could see you having to do all the storylines for the 4 major things, and then that could be one of the main ways to get it.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel from Tayo Eduardo? How do you feel about them abandoning allied races? Shouldn't Wildhammer, Ferraki, Dark Trolls, possibly Taunka, and others have different abilities as well?
I mean, they said in the interview, one of the interviews, that it takes so much time to set up the allied race because you need like the introductory quest line, and then you need to keep their unique story as a thread throughout the expansion.
Oh, like, yeah.
But I mean, I think that customization options should be included. I think there are some Wildhammer options for the dwarves, and it would be good if the Ferraki trolls, for example, or the other Tauren races, if that was reflected in the customization options at least. So like in your heart, you can play as that special
Exactly, so
sub
you can still
race.
sort of role play. Because yeah, it's complicated. It's not as simple as let's just throw in an allied race because Blizzard wants to do it properly, so they want to build the story.
Yeah, no one wants like, oh, I got the shitty allied race that like the lazy allied race that doesn't have any build up.
Yeah, yeah. A whole story behind it, why they officially joined in as an allied race, and I think also having too many allied races kind of makes the allied race not so special in a way, and maybe not just in terms of special, but also I think it might be overwhelming, or is it just me? I feel like, especially
Right.
as a new person, if you come in and learn about all these new races, and then there's tons and tons of different sorts, and you're just like, what's going on?
Well, it's also like, what's the incentive when there's a few things to choose from? The allied race is exciting. When you have too many, you're just like, why do I want to grind out all this extra stuff to get this race, especially with the customization options? I think that's interesting because at the time, allied races had like cool and unique appearances, but
Mm-hmm.
in retrospect, they're kind of limited, and the allied races, I believe, aren't getting any more customization. So now the main races have like way more cool stuff you can do with them. Like a blood elf has more customization options than a void elf, and yes, the void elves have the glowy hair, but the blood elves have more hairstyles and maybe the body jewelry and
Mm-hmm.
skin tones and eye colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you keep making allied races but you don't make them that exciting, people just be like, you know, I don't want to. Why should I, grind out a storyline
Mm-hmm.
to get this race and have it have less kind of tattoo options than playing a regular dwarf
Yeah.
that I could just roll anytime?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we might see more allied races, but I think also remembering that having
I
too
think
many
it's going to
wouldn't
be
be
more
too exciting.
sparingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got a lot uh, as a sort of, I guess, Legion slash BFA thing because it's new and it sort of um, builds the base of the idea of allied
Like new
races.
shiny tech they wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah,
play
yeah.
with.
But I don't think we'll be seeing a lot next expansion or expansions after that. My guess would be max one per faction next expansion. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I guess we'll see. But that would be my guess. So adding a bunch of different options, different Tauren options, different dwarf options, and different troll options. I think it might be a bit too much.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's better to then focus on yeah, the lacking customizations for the existing ones.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it's like everyone has a story and there's always like a leader of that allied race, and then that leader plays a role in the story in
That's
some
true
form.
too.
So then
Yeah.
it's like,
Are you gonna have
okay, like
30
now
leaders?
this. Right, and they have to be in the cinematic and they have to play a role because then it's like, oh, like why did you abandon this race? Why did you not have this character play a role? Like, this is the unloved allied race. No one likes my race, so you have to find ways to integrate them and keep them going in the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Indeed. Um, trying to skim through. How will island expeditions work while leveling? Probably as they are now. Isn't it just
I
queuable for
bet,
anyone above a certain level?
yeah, that's a good, I mean, I wonder how it's going to work. I feel like Blizzard is not going to want you to do island expeditions for leveling, so I wonder if they're going to like, I don't know, discourage you from doing it or something.
Hmm.
Like I am pretty sure after all the leveling revamp, Blizzard does not want people leveling through island expeditions.
Well, I'm sure it won't be the best way to level, but if people specifically
Right.
want the vanity items from there and prefer
Right.
to
I'm
do it
sure you
that
can
way,
still do it. I'm sure they're not going away. I mean,
mm-hmm,
if it went away without
mm-hmm,
warning,
mm-hmm,
people like I could see people being upset for a
yeah,
reason.
mm-hmm, indeed.
Yeah.
We'll take this one as the last one from Centauri's beta. It's actually a long question. Are they going to give new emotes slash voice lines as options for the new skins to be choosable, like Darkspear trolls, but as a sand troll, would they still make jokes and flirts referencing the Darkspear?
Huh. I feel like they would. Um we haven't data mined anything implying that would be changing, and I imagine that'd be similar to the dances. Like every race just has the same dance, even if like maybe like a certain subset wouldn't necessarily have that dance in real life or as part of that tribe, but there's just like a degree of, you can't like make a different dance for every single skin or voiceover lines. That's just like a lot of extra work at this point.
Yeah, I think for new allied races it makes sense, but changing the skin probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Also, because I think from a, I guess, more casual point of view, maybe somebody likes the look of that color, but have no idea of the, backgrounds of the different tribes and everything.
Right.
So then suddenly having a different, let's say, voice line or joke line because you changed your mind of the skin color might be confusing as well. Because you're still choosing the same race.
How would you preview that on a screen? Like, when you're in the dressing room picking your character, like, oh, I like how this looks. You would hate to log on and be like, wait, like my voice doesn't sound
my voice
like
changed. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't move how I thought I was going to move. Oh no, now I have to pay money to change my appearance. You don't want people that.
Yeah, so if it's only a skin color change, then most likely no unique voice lines to skin colors. But obviously allied races do have their unique things going on. Yep. That was quite a lot of questions. I think we covered everything. Guys. Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, like, ever, do feel free to post them. We can always try to have like a little moment for questions at the end of the show, like we did now. In general, during the shows, if you want to have a question saved, you can tag a mod who can then maybe save it for us to answer later in the show if it's not been answered by itself. But I believe this is it for us today. 2 Wowhead weeklies in 1 week.
Yep, lots of Brightpaw on the show. He's sitting right here. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week. Most likely Thursday again, as usual. And if we do happen to change our day to Mondays, we will let you guys know. If you're not already, twitter.com. Wowhead for all updates, and you can also join the Discord, of course, for updates and also community things and everything that's going on over there. And we will see you all next show.
I just looking off to the side because I'm like, did Brightpaw knock something down? And I just noticed that yes, he has a pile of stuff he knocked down without me noticing. So I have to deal with that after the show, but let's see if we can pick him up so we can have him say goodbye. Come on, little one. Come on, boy. You're going to say goodbye. Yes, we're saying goodbye.
Aww.
You're saying goodbye with me.
He's so big. Big baby. Oh, he's looking up at you. So cute.
So we're going to do this. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to gouge my eye out. We are going to do a high five.
Yes.
You want to do the high five? Do the high five, Brightpaw. Look, there's your paw. He's holding his paw up.
What are you doing with my paw?
You're giving a high five. You know that. You were here last week for the high five. Okay, we're going to do the high five now. And he's going to be good. Okay, you have to do the snap because I'll do the snap,
yes. 3,
all right.
2, 1. There we go. There's like slight delay with the Discord, so I have to like wait for Perk to actually move her hand.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this is safe social distancing, guys. If you want to hug or high five or even cuff at your friends, do it online and it's completely safe.
Yep.
Do wash your hands though in case you do go outside. In case you do see real people. Yes.
Yep. Brightpaw, you are not a person, you are a cat.
True. Cats are safe.
Yes.
But yes, thank you guys all for supporting, hanging out here on the stream and Wowhead in general. Special shout out to you guys who are keeping up with a Wowhead premium subscription. And shout out to all of you guys who are also subbed here on Twitch. Thank you very much. and we will be back next week.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when, but we will be back.
Yes.
Likely after a new build, so there'll be fun things to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, everyone have a great weekend.
Yes, indeed. Have a great weekend. Be good to each other and yourself, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Bye bye.